In the vastness of space, the Galactic Council convened in its opulent chamber a grand assembly of representatives from a multitude of worlds shimmering with colors and life. The air crackled with tension as a blaring alarm pierced the serene atmosphere. A holographic display flickered to life at the center of the room, projecting the image of a planet in distress. Eloria was a jewel among worlds, its azure oceans and emerald forests pulsating with vibrant energy, but now it was shrouded in chaos. The transmission showed scenes of destruction, cities engulfed in flames, and terrified inhabitants fleeing from an unseen menace. The voice of a frantic leader echoed through the chamber, pleading for assistance. Their ancient guardians had awakened after millennia of slumber, and their wrath threatened to consume everything in their path. Councillor Tarek, a towering figure from the crystalline planet of Viridian, stood first, his voice booming as he addressed the assembly. We cannot ignore this call for help. The Guardians have always been a force of balance. They were meant to protect, not destroy, yet here we stand on the brink of catastrophe. A murmur of agreement rippled through the council, but then a voice interjected from the shadowy corner of the chamber. It belonged to Lyra, a member from the enigmatic race known as the Thalan. Her words dripped with skepticism, sending a chill through the room. Are we truly prepared to involve ourselves in the affairs of Eloria? What if their guardians have a reason to rise? What if this is not merely an act of destruction, but a response to something far deeper? As the council debated, the urgency of the situation grew palpable. The holographic display shifted, revealing a countdown clock ticking ominously down to zero. The Elorians were running out of time. Councillor Vorn, a battle-scarred veteran from the war-torn planet of Kratos, slammed his fist on the table. The time for debate is over. We must act, and we must act now. If we do not send aid, Eloria will fall, and with it the balance of power in the galaxy. Tarek nodded in agreement, but Lyra was not convinced. Her sharp gaze swept across the chamber. We cannot send just anyone. The Elorians need a force that can think outside the box, a group that understands chaos, a group like the humans. Murmurs of surprise filled the room. Many representatives exchanged glances at the mention of humanity. Their reputation was a mix of admiration and wariness. Councillor Vorn scoffed. Humans are unpredictable. They have a knack for getting themselves into trouble and dragging others along with them. What makes you think they will respond appropriately to a situation as grave as this? Lyra leaned forward, her voice low yet compelling. Because they thrive in chaos, they adapt, they find solutions where others see none. Humans possess an ingenuity that could be the key to overcoming the Guardians, and they are willing to take risks that we might not dare to consider. The council members looked thoughtful as Lyra's words sank in. Visions of humanity's past filled their minds. The resilience shown in their wars, the creativity that sparked innovation in the face of dire circumstances. Perhaps there was merit in her proposal. Finally, Tarek spoke again. If we are to call upon humans, we must approach them with respect. We must present them not only with a challenge, but with the opportunity to forge a new alliance, one that could benefit the entire galaxy. He glanced at the flickering display of Eloria. We must send a message to Earth and hope they answer our call. As the council members prepared to draft their message, a sense of urgency electrified the room. The fate of Eloria hung in the balance, and humanity's potential role in the galaxy was about to be tested. The chamber buzzed with a mix of anxiety and anticipation as the Galactic Council deliberated the weight of their decision. Councillor Tarek paced the floor, contemplating the gravity of the situation. 1,000 scenarios raced through his mind. Eloria's plight could be the spark that ignited either a great alliance or a catastrophic miscalculation. As the discussion intensified, various representatives shared their concerns. Councillor Myra, from the aquatic world of Luminara, expressed her doubts. Humans are a volatile species. Their history is riddled with conflict. We risk unleashing chaos upon Eloria instead of bringing peace. Vorn countered her argument with fervor. But that chaos is what we need in this instance. They thrive under pressure, they think creatively, and they have a knack for innovation. We must not underestimate them. We are in desperate need of a wild card. Lyra remained silent, observing the heated exchange. A plan began to take shape in her mind. Humanity's audacity might be their greatest asset. They could rally the Elorians. In a way we cannot, they could unify the factions that are too afraid to stand together. The council fell into a contemplative silence. The image of Eloria flickered in the air, the destruction unfolding before their eyes only reinforced the urgency of their decision. But the question loomed large: could they truly trust humans to take on such a pivotal role? At last Tarek spoke, his voice steady and authoritative. "We will present our case to the humans. They must understand the gravity of the situation and the role they could play, but we must also be clear about the risks we face. If they refuse to cooperate, the consequences could be dire." The representatives nodded in agreement. The decision was made they would send a delegation to Earth to request human assistance. But even as they prepared to draft their message, uncertainty lingered in the air. Would the humans even respond favorably? Meanwhile, on Earth, a global summit was taking place. Leaders from various nations gathered to discuss their own challenges. The world was at a crossroads, grappling with climate change, economic instability, and social unrest. The message from the Galactic Council arrived like a bolt from the blue. A holographic projection filled the conference room, displaying the dire situation on Eloria. The leaders were stunned. Some felt it was a hoax, while others were skeptical of involving humanity in interstellar politics. But as the message played on, their expressions shifted from disbelief to concern. The visuals of destruction were too real to ignore. In the back of the room, a young woman named Clara, an ambitious diplomat known for her unyielding spirit, stood up, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "We cannot turn a blind eye to this. If we ignore their plea, we risk not only the lives on Eloria, but also our own future in this galaxy. We must respond." Some leaders hesitated, but Clara's passion ignited a spark of resolve among them. She proposed assembling a team of specialists to respond to the Council's call, a group that would represent the best of humanity: courage, intellect, and compassion. After much debate, the leaders agreed Clara was appointed to lead the mission. She rallied a diverse team consisting of a seasoned military strategist, a brilliant scientist with expertise in alien technologies, and a gifted engineer known for her innovative problem-solving skills. As Clara and her team prepared to depart for the stars, they couldn't shake the weight of responsibility that hung over them. They were not just representing Earth, but the entirety of humanity. Their actions could change the course of history. Back in the Galactic Council, the message of Earth's acceptance buzzed through the chamber. The atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to cautious optimism. Clara's team was on their way, and the fate of Eloria now rested in their hands. As they set forth into the unknown, the stakes had never been higher, and the galaxy held its breath, awaiting the outcome. The journey to the stars was filled with anticipation and trepidation as Clara and her team boarded the sleek spacecraft known as Endeavour *. Its hull gleamed under the light of Earth's sun. The crew was a mix of personalities, each with unique skills, but united by a common purpose. They were humanity's response to a cosmic crisis. As the engines roared to life, Clara felt a surge of adrenaline. She glanced around the control room, taking in the faces of her teammates: the seasoned military strategist, Captain Reynolds, a grizzled veteran with eyes that had seen too many battles; the brilliant scientist, Dr. Mai Chen, whose passion for xenobiology had led her to study life forms from across the galaxy; and finally the innovative engineer Lexi Carter, known for her knack for transforming the impossible into reality. With a final countdown, the Endeavour * soared into the sky, breaking free from the constraints of Earth. As the blue planet shrank behind them, Clara reflected on the responsibility that weighed on her shoulders. She had always dreamed of exploring the cosmos, but now their mission was fraught with peril. They were racing against time to save Eloria. As they entered hyperspace, the crew settled into their roles. Clara convened a briefing session to discuss their strategy. We need to be prepared for anything, she began. The guardians of Eloria are ancient and powerful. We must understand their motivations if we are to find a way to communicate rather than confront. Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. I've been studying the data from the Council's transmission. The Guardians are likely protectors of the planet's balance. They may believe the current state of Eloria necessitates their awakening, but we need to find out why. Lexi chimed in. If we can uncover the root cause of their rage, we might be able to offer a solution. Rather than entering a fight, we could appeal to their sense of duty and find common ground. Captain Reynolds leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. That sounds good in theory, but we must also be prepared for conflict. If diplomacy fails, they may not listen to reason. Clara knew he was right, but she believed in the power of dialogue. She addressed the team. Our goal is to unite the factions of Eloria and convince the Guardians that humans can help restore balance. We will approach this with empathy and understanding. As the ship continued its journey, the team trained for various scenarios. They simulated potential encounters with the Guardians and rehearsed diplomatic approaches. Clara emphasized the importance of adaptability. As they flew through the vastness of space, each passing moment brought them closer to Eloria. When they finally exited hyperspace, the sight before them took their breath away. The vibrant blues and greens of Eloria glimmered against the black backdrop of space, but the beauty was marred by the swirling clouds of chaos that enveloped the planet. Clara's heart raced as they entered the atmosphere. The ship shook with turbulence and alarms blared. As they navigated through the chaos below, they spotted the devastation. Entire cities lay in ruins, flames licking the sky, while terrified citizens sought refuge. Setting the Endeavour down in a safe location, Clara and her team stepped onto the alien soil. For the first time, the air was thick with tension and fear. The sounds of destruction echoed in the distance. We must find the local leaders, Clara urged, gathering her team. We need to establish communication and understand their perspective. We cannot afford to make assumptions. As they moved through the debris, they encountered Elorian citizens, their eyes wide with fear. Clara approached them with an open heart. We are here to help, she said earnestly. We come in peace and wish to understand. The citizens hesitated, glancing nervously at the destruction surrounding them, but Clara's genuine demeanor began to break through their fear. Hope flickered in their eyes as they listened to her words. The path to unity was beginning to unfold, but they had to tread carefully, for the Guardians still loomed as an impending threat in the shadows. As Clara and her team moved deeper into the ruins of Eloria, they encountered a group of frightened citizens, huddled together, their faces marked with soot and despair. Clara stepped forward, her voice steady and reassuring. We come from Earth to help you. We are here to understand what is happening and to find a way to restore peace. One of the citizens, a tall figure with iridescent skin, stepped forward, his voice trembling, but filled with determination. I am Kiran, a representative of the Elorian Council. We have watched our world crumble. The Guardians have risen, believing we are unworthy of their protection. Clara nodded, urging him to continue. What caused them to awaken, she asked with desperation. Coloring her words, Kiran looked toward the horizon, where dark clouds swirled ominously. For centuries we lived in harmony, but our technological advancements have disrupted the balance. The Guardians perceive us as a threat, and now they rage against our cities. Dr. Chen interjected. So the Guardians believe that your progress has endangered the planet itself. Kiran nodded, his expression grave. Yes, they have always acted as our protectors, but now they see us as destroyers. We do not know how to calm their fury. Captain Reynolds stepped closer. Our team has experience in dealing with powerful foes. We can help you strategize a plan to confront the Guardians, but first we need to gain your trust. Kiran hesitated, the weight of their circumstances pressing down upon him. We have little time, our defenses are failing. If the Guardians are not appeased soon, we will face total annihilation." Clara felt the urgency in his words, and knew they needed to act swiftly. "We must unite the factions of your world. We can offer you our support and expertise, but we need your people to stand together. Can you rally them?" Kieran nodded determination, sparking in his eyes. "I will do everything in my power to bring the leaders together. We must devise a plan, and soon." As Kieran raced off to gather the remaining council members, Clara turned to her team. "We need to prepare for a confrontation with the Guardians, but we must also strategize on how to communicate with them. If they are as ancient as Kieran suggests, we need to understand their language, their culture." Lexi grinned already, pulling out her data pad. "I can analyze the existing data on the Guardians from the Council. We can look for patterns in their past interactions with Eloria that might give us clues on how to approach them." As the team began to work, Clara felt a surge of hope. Their mission was taking shape. They were no longer mere outsiders. They were becoming allies, forging a path through the chaos. Hours passed as they meticulously analyzed information and strategized. Kieran returned with a group of Elorian leaders, their expressions a mixture of hope and fear. Clara greeted them warmly. "Thank you for coming. We have a plan to unite your people and confront the Guardians together." The leaders listened intently as Clara laid out their strategy. They would hold a summit inviting representatives from all factions to gather and discuss a unified front. They needed to present a strong and cohesive message to the Guardians, demonstrating their commitment to restoring balance. "We must show them that we are willing to listen, that we understand the gravity of our actions." Kieran added, his voice strong. "We will make it clear that we seek to honor the Guardians and restore harmony to Eloria." With the plan in place, Clara felt the weight of responsibility shift slightly. They were no longer passive observers. They were part of a larger narrative. The fate of Eloria rested on their shoulders. As night fell over Eloria, Clara looked out at the stars above. She felt a connection to the universe, a sense of purpose that transcended the chaos surrounding them. They were not just fighting for Eloria, but for the future of cooperation between species. Tomorrow they would face the Guardians and hope to bridge the chasm that had formed between their worlds. But for now they needed to gather strength and prepare for the trials ahead. A new dawn was approaching, and with it the potential for unity and understanding. The dawn broke over Eloria, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Clara stood on a ridge overlooking the makeshift gathering place, where representatives from various factions would soon converge. The air was thick with anticipation and trepidation, the weight of their mission pressing down on her shoulders. As the sun rose, Kieran joined her. His expression a mixture of hope and anxiety. "Today will be crucial," he said. "The Guardians will be watching. We must present a united front to show that we have recognized our mistakes." Clara nodded, feeling the gravity of his words. The summit would be their opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to change. But she knew that actions spoke louder than words. They had to convince not only the Elorians, but also the Guardians that cooperation was the way forward. As they descended the ridge, the sound of voices filled the air. Representatives began to arrive, their faces a mix of skepticism and determination. Clara greeted each one with warmth, encouraging them to set aside their differences for the sake of their world. Once the crowd was assembled, Kieran stepped forward, addressing the gathering with passion. He spoke of their shared history, the beauty of Eloria, and the importance of balance between progress and preservation. He called for unity, and for them to honor the Guardians who had protected them for so long. Clara felt a sense of pride as Kieran spoke. His words resonated with the crowd, but she knew they needed more than rhetoric to sway the Guardians. They needed a plan to demonstrate their willingness to change. After the speeches, the group broke into smaller discussions. Clara moved through the clusters of representatives, listening to their concerns. Many voiced fears about the Guardians, their rage, and what it meant for their future. She took note of their fears, knowing that they had to address these concerns head-on. Dr. Chen approached her with excitement. "Clara, I found something fascinating in the data we gathered from the Council regarding the Guardians. Their history shows a pattern of behavior that could offer us insight into their motivations." "What do you mean?" Clara asked, intrigued. Dr. Chen continued. "The Guardians seem to react strongly to disturbances in the natural order. Whenever there is an imbalance in the ecosystem, they awaken to restore it. They may see our technological advancements as a direct threat. So we need to show them that we are willing to restore balance," Clara replied, her mind racing with possibilities. "We must offer solutions that respect their role as guardians of the planet." As the summit progressed, Clara gathered the leaders once more to discuss their strategy. They would present a unified message to the Guardians, emphasizing their commitment to sustainability and respect for the planet. "We will propose a council of both humans and Elorians, dedicated to maintaining the balance between technology and nature," Kiran suggested. "This way the Guardians can see that we are taking responsibility." With the plan solidified, Clara felt a sense of hope blooming within her. They had worked tirelessly to unite the factions, and now they were ready to confront the Guardians. But as the day wore on, Clara felt a growing unease in her gut. The Guardians were powerful and ancient beings. Would they truly respond to their plea? As the sun began to set, Clara gathered her team for a final briefing. They were preparing to face not only the Guardians, but also the collective fears of the Elorian people. "Tomorrow we will go to the heart of Eloria, where the Guardians rest," Clara said, her voice steady. "We will show them our intentions and our desire to restore balance. But we must remain vigilant. If they do not respond favorably, we need to be prepared." Lexi chimed in. "I'll ensure our tech is ready to support us. If things get out of hand, we have to be adaptable." With their resolve strengthened, Clara felt a sense of unity forming among them. They were not just a team, but a coalition of hope ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As night enveloped Eloria, the stars sparkled like a tapestry above them. Clara stood outside her tent, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. They were on the brink of something monumental, a chance to reshape the fate of their worlds together. They would confront the Guardians and prove that cooperation could indeed conquer chaos. The next morning dawned with a sense of urgency. Clara gathered her team along with Kiran and the Elorian leaders. They prepared to journey to the heart of Eloria, where the Guardians rested deep within the ancient forest. This sacred place pulsed with energy and history. The trees towered overhead, their leaves shimmering in the morning light. As they made their way through the dense foliage, Clara felt a growing sense of anticipation. The air was thick with tension, each step bringing them closer to the Guardians, who had awakened in anger. She could only hope they would be receptive to their message. Kiran led the way, guiding them through narrow paths lined with vibrant flora and fauna. He explained the significance of the location. The Guardians had protected Eloria for centuries. Their presence was woven into the very fabric of the planet. When they finally arrived at the clearing, the sight took their breath away. Towering stone structures rose majestically from the earth, covered in moss and intricate carvings depicting the Guardians in various forms. Clara felt the weight of their history pressing down upon her. As they entered the clearing, Clara noticed a palpable energy in the air. The Guardians were present, but remained shrouded in mystery. Kiran stepped forward, addressing the assembly of representatives with a voice that resonated through the space. "We come in peace, Guardians. We seek to honor the balance you have maintained for so long." Silence enveloped the clearing. The air crackled with anticipation. Clara could sense the Guardians watching and waiting for a sign of sincerity. She glanced at her team, knowing that this was their moment to show the Guardians their commitment. With a deep breath, Clara stepped forward. She raised her hands to signal peace. "We are not here to challenge your authority or undermine your role as protectors. We acknowledge our missteps and seek to restore harmony to Eloria." In the stillness, a deep rumbling sound echoed through the clearing as the Guardians began to materialize, their forms shifting like shadows against the sunlight. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. The largest of the guardians stepped forward, its voice resonating like thunder. "You dare to approach us humans, your kind has brought chaos and destruction to our world." Clara held her ground, her voice steady. "We understand your anger. We have come to offer our support and our commitment to restoring balance. We wish to form a council to ensure that technology and nature coexist harmoniously." The guardian regarded her with piercing eyes. A flicker of curiosity crossed its face. "You speak of change, but how can we trust that you will not repeat the mistakes of the past?" Kieran interjected. "We stand united as one people. Our factions have come together to support this initiative. We believe that collaboration is key. We will respect the natural order and honor your guardianship." Clara felt a swell of pride as the Elorian representatives stepped forward. Echoing Kieran's words, they expressed their willingness to work together with the humans to restore what had been lost. For a moment, silence enveloped the clearing. The guardians seemed to contemplate their words. Clara could feel the tension in the air, but hope flickered in her chest. Finally, the largest guardian spoke again. "Very well. We will allow you a chance to prove your intentions, but know this: the balance is fragile, and we will not hesitate to act if you betray our trust." Clara's heart raced with relief and determination. "Thank you. We will do everything in our power to uphold our promise," she said, her voice unwavering. As the guardians began to retreat, Clara turned to her team, and Kieran, their faces illuminated with a mix of hope and disbelief. "We did it," Clara exclaimed. "We have a chance." But their victory was still tentative. The guardians had granted them a window of opportunity, but they would have to work tirelessly to earn their trust and restore balance to Eloria. As they left the clearing, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer mere outsiders. They had forged alliances and taken the first steps toward a brighter future, united in their commitment to protect the planet and each other. The journey ahead would be challenging, but together they would face whatever lay ahead with courage and resilience. With the Guardians' cautious acceptance fresh in their minds, Clara and her team returned to the Elorian city, ready to implement their plan to restore balance. Their first task was to establish the new council that would include both humans and Elorians, a significant step toward unifying their efforts. The citizens of Eloria gathered in the central plaza. The atmosphere was electric as Clara and Kieran addressed the crowd. Clara stepped onto a makeshift platform, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Today, we begin a new chapter together. We will work hand in hand to honor the Guardians and restore harmony to our world." The crowd listened intently, but Clara could sense lingering skepticism in their eyes. Many had witnessed the destruction wrought by the Guardians and feared that the humans would not keep their promises. Kieran spoke next, emphasizing the importance of trust and cooperation. "We must believe in one another and commit to this path of healing together. We will establish a council dedicated to ensuring that technology respects nature." As discussions continued, representatives from various factions began to voice their concerns. Some worried about the Guardians' true intentions, while others were still hesitant about collaborating with the humans. Clara listened carefully, addressing each fear with compassion and understanding. The council took shape slowly as individuals from both species began to come together. Clara felt a flicker of hope growing within her. Unity was essential if they were to face the Guardians' power and prevent further chaos. After hours of deliberation, they finally agreed on a framework for the council, establishing roles and responsibilities. Each member would focus on sustainability and fostering respect for the planet's natural balance. With the council established, Clara turned her attention to the next crucial step. They needed to demonstrate their commitment to the Guardians by initiating a plan to restore areas of Eloria that had been damaged by their technological advancements. The team devised a restoration project aimed at healing the land, replanting native species, and creating sanctuaries for local wildlife. Clara felt a sense of urgency As they set to work, the more tangible their efforts became, the better their chances of gaining the Guardians' trust. For weeks they labored tirelessly side by side with Elorian citizens. Clara marveled at their resilience and dedication. Together, they dug holes, planted seeds, and nurtured the land. They shared stories and laughter, forming bonds that transcended their differences. But as their work progressed, Clara sensed a change in the air, a tension that hung heavily, as if the Guardians were watching and waiting. The Elorian leaders spoke of strange occurrences, reports of mysterious disturbances rippling through the forests and mountains. One evening, as Clara and her team gathered for a debriefing, Kieran entered, looking troubled. The Guardians have grown restless. He said their presence is felt more strongly in the land. They are not pleased with our progress. Clara's heart sank. What do we do, Kieran? I thought we were on the right path. We need to show them our results, he replied firmly. We must present the restoration work we have done and prove our dedication to the balance. Determined, Clara called for an emergency meeting with the Council. They needed to act quickly to demonstrate their commitment to both the Guardians and the Elorian people. The next morning, Clara and her team organized a demonstration showcasing the areas they had restored. Vibrant green sprouts now dotted the landscape. Native wildlife began to return, but they needed to communicate the significance of their work to the Guardians. They set up a gathering at the edge of the forest where the Guardians could witness the rejuvenation firsthand. Clara stood before the crowd, a mix of Elorians and humans. Her heart raced as she spoke. Today, we present our dedication to healing Eloria and honoring the Guardians who protect it. As they unveiled their work, Clara felt a swell of hope. If the Guardians were watching this time, they would see their genuine intentions. They had to believe that unity could indeed conquer chaos. The gathering at the forest's edge was alive with anticipation as Clara and her team unveiled the restoration project. The vibrant greens of newly sprouted plants glimmered in the sunlight, and the sounds of chirping birds echoed through the air. Clara felt a rush of emotion as she faced the crowd of Elorians and humans who had come together in this moment of hope. As she began to speak, her voice steady and clear. Today, we stand united to demonstrate our commitment to healing Eloria and respecting the balance that the Guardians have upheld for centuries. She gestured toward the thriving landscape behind her. This is just the beginning of our journey together. Kieran stepped forward alongside her, his presence a reassuring force. We have worked tirelessly to restore what was lost, but this effort goes beyond mere restoration. It symbolizes our dedication to a shared future, one where technology and nature coexist harmoniously. As the crowd nodded, Clara sensed a shift in the air. She turned to the edge of the clearing, where the towering trees cast long shadows, waiting for the Guardians to reveal themselves. A silence enveloped the gathering, anticipation hanging thick. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the trees as the Guardians materialized, their forms swirling with ancient energy. The crowd gasped as the largest Guardian stepped forward, its eyes piercing and wise. You have worked to restore what was lost, it intoned, its voice resonating through the clearing. We have watched your efforts and felt the energy of your intentions. Clara's heart raced. This was the moment they had worked so hard for. Guardians, we seek not only your acceptance, but your guidance as we move forward. We want to ensure that our actions honor the delicate balance you have maintained. The Guardian regarded her closely, and Clara could sense the weight of its scrutiny. The path to redemption is long, it said. We will grant you a chance to prove your dedication, but know that the Guardians will not stand idle should you falter. A wave of relief washed over Clara. She turned to her team, and the assembled crowd. Their hard work was beginning to bear fruit, but she understood the gravity of their promise. They had to uphold their commitment to honor both the Guardians and the planet. In the following weeks, Clara and her team engaged in deeper collaboration with the Elorian Council. They established educational programs to teach sustainable practices, merging human technology with Elorian wisdom. As they implemented these initiatives, Clara felt a growing bond between their peoples. They shared knowledge and culture, forging relationships that transcended their differences. The once skeptical Elorians began to embrace the humans as allies. But the challenges were not over. Whispers of unrest still lingered among the Guardians. They watched closely as Clara's team worked tirelessly to ensure that their efforts were genuine. One evening, as Clara reviewed plans for a new sustainable energy initiative, she received an urgent message from Kieran. The Guardians request our presence. They wish to speak with us immediately. Heart-pounding, Clara gathered her team and raced to the sacred clearing. The air crackled with tension as they arrived. The Guardians stood in a semicircle, their eyes fixed upon the group. "We have observed your progress," the largest Guardian began, its voice echoing through the trees. "Your commitment has not gone unnoticed, but there are still doubts among us about humanity's ability to honor the balance." Clara stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "We understand your concerns. We are here to learn and to grow. We seek to create a future where both our worlds thrive together." The Guardians seemed to contemplate her words. The silence stretched on, but Clara remained hopeful. Finally, the Guardian spoke. "You may yet prove yourselves, but we require a test, a challenge that will test your resolve." Clara's heart raced. What kind of challenge? "You will face the trial of balance, a demonstration of your commitment to preserving Eloria's essence. Succeed, and you will earn our trust, but fail, and the consequences will be dire." Determined, Clara nodded. "We accept your challenge. We will not falter. We will prove that cooperation and respect can conquer all." As they prepared for the trial, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had come so far, and now they stood at the brink of something monumental. Their journey together was only just beginning. United in their resolve, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, to protect Eloria and build a future rooted in harmony and understanding.